Hey, everybody. I hope you are well. It is Pete Vargas III. I am so happy. It's Wednesday, and we are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're about 5 or 6 days away from Platform Tour kicking off. And what I want you to know, and I shared this yesterday in the group, and I got a very special interview today. One of the most respected business leaders in the United States, in my opinion, maybe in the world, who you're going to get to hear from, who wrote the New York Times best-selling book Platform back in 2012. New York Times best-selling book. And last year in November of 2020, he sold us his company, Platform University. 6 or 7 people wanted to buy Platform University from him. And he chose us. And here in this interview, he'll tell you why he chose us. But why were so many people wanting to go after Platform University? Why? Why were so many people wanting to buy it? They were wanting to buy it because the importance of building a platform, i.e. building your business and getting noticed in a busy world, in a noisy world. His book's subtitle was How to Get Noticed in a Noisy World. No matter what channel this is on, today we're on 5 or 6 different channels all across social. There's people next week, many big Facebook groups that are allowing us to stream this into their groups next week because of the value that it's bringing to their people. Tens of thousands of people will be a part of this tour next week, watching this. And it's the same reason why 7 people bid a significant amount of money on a company to buy a company. Because the reason that book was a best-selling book is because it was so difficult in 2012 to get noticed because of the noisy and busy world. Would you say in 2021, moving into 2022, is it noisier and busier today? Is it noisier in 2021? Or was it noisier in 2012? I want to see that. I'm going to go online. I mean, this is streaming into a group of 150,000 entrepreneurs. It's streaming into our Build Your Platform community. It's in a lot of different places right now. The reason why so many people bid on this company is because they understand the importance that the person in the market who can help people build their platforms will be a person that is well received. And the book that Michael wrote was evidence of that. I'm going to tell you what, that book, if it were a New York Times bestselling book in 2012, that book in 2021 would probably trump the sales of what happened in 2022 or in 2012 because of how busy and noisy it is right now to get the attention of the people that you feel called to serve. And then what you try to do is you try to go implement one thing that these gurus are trying to tell you what to do. These gurus who might build a 7-figure business because they're trying to tell you one thing to do. And the reality is, to build your platform, it does not take one thing. It takes a pillar of 6 things with a foundation under that pillar that's critical. Next week is all around that foundation and those 6 pillars. And the 40 speakers that would cost millions of dollars to get into the same room, all they're going to be talking about next week, every single one of them will be speaking into one of those 6 pillars around what they did to build their platform. And within every one of those pillars, you're going to have 6 or 7 strategies that allowed them to build their platform, so you can build a platform that's not reliant upon one pillar, because that platform will come crashing down. And so the reason why that book was such a bestseller is because people wanted to understand, how do I stand out in a noisy world? How do I get noticed? How do I get more customers? How do I get more leads? How do I make a greater impact? How do I get people to even consume what I'm putting out there? And now what I'm here to tell you in 2022, not only do we live in a noisy world, in a busy world, we live in a world that people are so egotistical and they're building platforms for all the wrong reasons. Please stop following people who are building platforms that make it everything about them, because they don't care about you. Don't follow those people. But the other thing people are building their platforms on is dissension and fear, anxiety, negativity. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Next week, the reason people are like, how did you put this lineup together? It's greater than any other lineup that you have seen on the internet this year. Any other lineup. I would say the lineup that would be closest to it is the lineup that we brought to you last year in Rise Up World. There hasn't been a more powerful, profound lineup as this. Multiple people who are billionaires. Billionaires. They understand how to build a platform. And next week, all of them committed to helping you build a platform that aligns with your purpose, that serves your people, and that brings you profit. That's what next week is all about. And that is the reason why Michael Hyatt chose us. And you're going to hear that in the interview shortly, to buy the domain and the around Platform University and just building your platform, because he said, Pete, you understand what it takes to help people build their platform, and you care about your people. And so I'm proud, because this is literally, I told Michael, I know I bought it in November of 2020 from you, but this is the launching of it. Next week, and all of this pre-training is simply to get you ready for it. This is the launching of helping 1 million entrepreneurs start, grow, and scale their platforms. And all of you fall into one of those buckets, because the wrong people are controlling the microphone. And it's time for you to control the microphone, because when you control the microphone, you change the world. But you can't control the microphone if you don't know how to build your platform. And next week, 6 pillars, 6 or 7 strategies in every single one of those pillars, so you can take the top strategy from all of those 6 pillars and actually build a sustainable platform. I'm stoked. Are you stoked? Like, hey, on IG, multiple Facebook groups, our Build Your Platform Facebook group, which is the central place that you want to be. Like, make sure and drop a note down below. Who are you excited to hear from next week? Who are you excited to hear from next week? Today, you're going to get to hear from Michael Hyatt as some pre-training. But who are you excited to hear from next week? I want to know that. I want to know that. Now, I want to let you know something. If you have not registered, I want to encourage you to go to the platform. Shelly, I keep saying the platform tour. Is it join platform tour? I thought it's the platform tour. Is it both? Shelly, can you drop a note in here for me? Yeah, it's theplatformtour.com. I want to make sure, theplatformtour.com. If you have not registered, theplatformtour.com. If you have registered, and by the way, when you register, it will give you the opportunity to upgrade to VIP right away. I'm letting you know that. And all of the profits that we create next week on this tour are all going back to charity. Not 5%, not 10%, not 20%, not a little bit of it. That's what a lot of people like to do a little bit so it looks good. It's social proof. 100% of the profits are going back to charity. All of it. All of it. So as you invest in VIP and backstage with all of these speakers, and you get the recordings from all of their 40 platform building strategies, think it's 67 bucks and it goes up to 97 bucks in a few days. Just know that's all going back. All of the profits are going back to charity. Not one penny is kept by our company. Not one penny of profit is kept by the company at all. And to prove it, last year we gave over $750,000 away. And my goal is to give away $1 million this year. That's my goal through all of our charity fundraising efforts that tie into the platform tour. So if you haven't registered, go to the platformtour.com. If you have, and you are not VIP, I don't know if the price goes up 30 bucks or if it doubles. I'm not aware of that, but in a couple of days it goes up. And I want to encourage you, go to platformtourvip.com, platformtourvip.com. And you can upgrade to VIP backstage. Every day you'll be backstage with the speakers. We'll go deeper with several dozens of these speakers. Will be backstage with us. And you will get the recordings so you don't miss out on this entire toolbox that's going to be coming to you next week. So go take advantage of that right now. If you haven't registered, theplatformtour.com, and upgrade. Once you do go through the registration process, make sure you're in our Facebook group, the main Facebook group. And when you go through registration, you'll get in there. That's where we're giving away goodies and prizes, and we'll have some private interviews going on. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in that group. So make sure you get into that group as you register. Just it's a public group for you to be able to access. And if you're watching this in the group right now, tag some of your friends, and let them know, let those friends know that you think that this would benefit them, that they need to be a part of this. Last thing that I want to say is I want to announce a winner from yesterday. Tanya Depew French, you won 2 tickets, one for yourself and a one-on-one for the person that you shared the post with yesterday. You're getting a one-on-one coaching session. $497 is what we actually charge for coaching sessions in helping people build their platforms. And by the way, we've helped our clients in the last 12 months generate $250 million. And then our students, the 3 years prior to that, $500 million in revenues and building their platforms and reaching over 100 million people, close to 100 million people that they've impacted by understanding how to build their platforms bigger. And some of the biggest brands and the biggest names in the world we've worked with. So this coaching session that you just won, it's a powerful coaching session. Very, very powerful coaching session. So as we get into this interview, here's what I want to say. A couple things that's really important part of pre-training. Block your calendars from Monday the 11th to Monday the 18th from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern. Block your calendars. And if for any reason you're working or you're sleeping during that time, block another 2-hour gap and come back, and the recordings will be available for 24 hours. Now, if you want, the recordings will be available for 24 hours. So block your calendar. That's one housekeeping item. Second, if you have not upgraded the VIP and backstage, as well as getting the lifetime access to the recordings, go to platformtourvip.com and upgrade. If you haven't registered at all, go to theplatformtour.com and register. And the last thing, I want to give away some more one-on-one platform building strategy coaching calls. So tag your friends in this, let them know that they need to be a part of this, and we will give away some more one-on-ones tomorrow. Cool. So I'm going to be back here tomorrow. I'll talk about that on the back end of this interview, but this is what I want to do. I was supposed to be with you guys and Michael Hyatt in here on Monday. Michael Hyatt is the guy who wrote the book on platform back in 2012. If you didn't hear, Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and a lot of other things went down. You see, what if those things went down? A lot of people's businesses would be taken out overnight. Overnight. Not mine. I would still do the projected revenues that we are projecting to do, even without those. But those are folks that are building their platform on one pillar. We're teaching you how to build it on one thing. It's not the case. It's not real. You got to have all 6 of the pillars. But we were supposed to do this interview on Monday, but because Facebook was down, we recorded it. About powerful 25 or 30-minute interview here that I want you to be able to see that I had with Michael Hyatt, the guy who wrote the book on platform, New York Times bestselling author who sold Platform University to Advance Your Reach and Pete Vargas last November of 2020. And the reason why this tour is happening next week is because of us being committed to helping 1 million entrepreneurs, organizations, and individuals build their platforms the right way. So enjoy this interview. I'll be back on the back end just for a couple of minutes to close us out. I got a special announcement that you will want to hear. And so enjoy this interview with Michael Hyatt. Hey, everybody, I am here, and y'all know how excited I have been about this interview with Michael Hyatt. He is one of the few mentors that I can count on my hand that has been an incredible mentor to me. His event was one of the very first events. Actually, a Tony Robbins event was the very first event that I went to. But the second one I went to was a Michael Hyatt event here in Colorado Springs called, Michael, I think it was called Platform. Did you call it Platform University? Was the event actually called Platform University?
It was called the Platform Conference.
The Platform Conference. And so Michael has been an incredible mentor. And so Michael, welcome to the Platform Tour as we go behind the scenes of your platform.
Thanks, Pete. Delighted to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Michael, back up, just diving right in, back maybe 10 years ago, dozen years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, you wrote a book that became a New York Times best-selling book around building your platform and literally standing out in a noisy world. Today, you fast forward a decade or two, and I actually think it's even more important because if noisy is even elevated, the other thing that's even more elevated is negative and fearful and, all standing out in a world that's full of fear and negativity and bringing a positivity to the world with your platform. And so back then, let's go back then and we'll kind of come full circle. What made you write that book? I think that was your first big book. You've since written a lot of bigger books, right?
Yes. Well, I actually wrote a book back in 1998, but that goes way back. But then I didn't write for a long time. I wrote a book then that became a New York Times bestseller. It was called The Millennium Bug. And so I thought I'd figured out the magic of how to write bestsellers. But my next book, I fell flat on my face. And by the way, failure is the best teacher. And when you fail, that's actually not a bad thing. So that was certainly true for me. The fact that I had that hard fall, because I published a book on privacy after that did nothing because it was published a month before 9/11 and nobody wanted to hear about that topic. So it was a good lesson for me, but then it kind of discouraged me from writing it. And so I didn't write again until 2012, which was when Platform, the book, came out. But I started a blog in 2004 and I didn't have any ambition. Blogging was relatively new then. I didn't have any ambition about building a platform. All I wanted to do was just be of service. I thought if I could kind of take what I'm learning about productivity, and that initial blog was called Working Smarter, and I just wanted to write about productivity and share it, share what I was discovering with the world as a way of serving other people, and particularly the people in my company. And that was my only ambition. Well, if you fast forward, by 2012, I was getting about 100,000 unique visitors to my blog every month. And I thought, I've learned some things. I had a couple 100,000 followers on Twitter at that time. and Facebook wasn't yet quite a thing. So I didn't even cover Facebook hardly in the book platform. But yeah, so I had built this platform that had become such an important part of my life that in 2011, when we sold Thomas Nelson to HarperCollins, I used that as an opportunity to do what I'd wanted to do for years, which was become an author and a full-time speaker. So I left Thomas Nelson to do that and founded Michael Hyatt and Company. And kind of, that was, like I said, back in 2011.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a big step and a big move. Michael, why do you think back then? Because we're gonna get to now. We're gonna get to why building a platform now is so critical. But why do you think back then that book was such a hit? Like, why was this concept of building a platform? Why was that such a hit back then?
I think for a couple of reasons, Pete. I think that people were feeling like that the world was noisy. All the social media noise, was creating a lot of distraction for people, and it was just harder and harder to get noticed. And frankly, because of social media and because of the internet, the sort of mainstream media outlets, the ways by which we used to promote things, whether books or anything else, going on television, going on radio shows, those were declining precipitously against social media. So everybody was looking for another opportunity. I think also, if you remember 2012, we were just on the backside of the Great Recession. And I think that people felt like they wanted to take more control of their lives going forward. They wanted to be less susceptible to layoffs and other things. So a lot of people were launching businesses and courses and membership sites and all kinds of things. So I think it was just, I just happened to catch the wave, at the time when it was still before it had crested. And I think it's, kind of to your point, things are even noisier now. More online platforms, more noise in the marketplace. The conventional media or traditional media have declined even further. So it's more important than ever.
Yeah, so let's go there, because I that's where I'm feeling led right now. I know we can go back and talk about us, just some of the stuff that we got to do to with Platform University, but talk about now. So you have Great Recession in 2010 and 12. You now have what's going on in our world right now. So much disarray, so much noise, so much. Well, the reason people were able to build platforms off of you teaching them how to back then is because of giving them the blueprint. We'll talk about the blueprint of what you see it as today here in a minute, but why do you think right now is such a unique time? It seems so similar, but even on a higher importance than even back then, Michael.
Well, I do think it goes back to getting your message out. If you've got a product, a service, a cause, anything that you want to elevate and get people's attention, you've got to build a platform. And the thing that you don't want to be dependent upon is, I call it, building a house on somebody else's lot, on a rented lot. You don't want to do that. And so there are a lot of people out there that are trying to build platforms on Instagram and Facebook, and that's all fun and games until you get banned or you otherwise lose your account, or maybe one of those companies goes out of existence. And I've had people that still can't understand to this day why they lost their account on Instagram or why they lost their account on Twitter. They weren't being political, nothing, but they just, for whatever reason, those people are in control. And guess what? They don't have to account to you. If they decide that they want to pull the plug, you're kind of done. Well, that's not true if you build a house on your own lot. And that's why I think that building a home base, whether it's a blog or a podcast or something that you own or control, is still just as important as I laid out in the book Platform, because that was the basic model, the platform model that I laid out, is that you have a home base, and then you have embassies. People, these are places where you don't own, but you have a presence, like Facebook or Twitter, Instagram would be a home base, but you're always an embassy, but you're always trying to drive people back to your home base, because that's when you can add them to your mailing list. And, a lot of people want to say email's dead. Email is not dead, man. Email is the bread and butter of our business. We have over 900,000 active subscribers to our email list today. And I just checked on this last week, and I was kind of shocked, because last I'd heard it was about 600,000. And so to be at 900,000 is amazing. But that's how we generate most of our income. And we're multiple 8-figure business now. But that didn't start that way. Obviously, we built it to this point, but it was email that drove that growth. So you have a home base, then you have the embassies, and there's a strategy in using the embassies to build the home base. And then you've got what I call in the book outposts. These are basically places where you listen, but you're not yet interacting. So the home base is the most important.
And so email's a part of that. Blogging's a part of that.
Definitely.
You're even your own, like having your own events, like you've
Yes.
done your own events in Nashville. Those are all what you own, correct, Michael?
That's correct. And so like our coaching practice, for example, all the coaching intensives that we have, because we do group coaching and one-on-one coaching, that's something we own. We've created it, and it's been primarily through, the platform strategy, where we talk about that home base, and then we're driving social media traffic to those things that we own.
Right now in 2021, what are the 2 or 3 biggest contributors to your platform growing? I heard you say email as one, right, Michael? Email would be one of those.
Yeah, I would say email. I would say before the pandemic, and thanks to you, we saw, speaking on other people's stages as a critical component of us building our business. And I cannot wait till we can get back there. And to be honest, I cut back on my speaking quite a bit, right? And as we were talking before we got on, we've kind of changed perspectives on that. And a new focus of mine is getting on the right stages going forward as things open up post-COVID, because I still think that's still an incredible strategy. And of course, we apply that. It's not just real stages, but even to get on other people's podcast shows, it's kind of a stages strategy that's critically important to us. It's an important part of every book launch. Like I went to tell you a funny story. So for my book, which one was this? I think it was The Vision Driven Leader. My publisher arranged for me to do New York media. So get on television shows in New York, radio shows, it was going to be a big thing. I mean, that's kind of how publishers think. So I took a week out of my life. I went to New York and got, honestly, no media of consequence. I mean, it didn't move the needle. And what does move the needle, in my experience, is getting on these niche podcasts where the podcaster has incredible authority and influence with his audience. And he or she has that influence for each podcast episode that can run from 30 minutes to an hour. Like when I got on a show in New York, I got on the local ABC affiliate, I had like maybe 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can't really influence a purchase decision in 90 seconds. I mean, it's really tough, really hard. Maybe you can hope that it piques their interest, kind of like social media, and you can drive them someplace where you can give them something for free, and then they can get into your sales funnel. But honestly, it was a waste of time, and the juice was not worth the squeeze.
Michael, yeah, it's funny because I think of a friend of ours, Aaron in there in Nashville, and he was sharing a story with me because I told him the power of a podcast or a niche podcast. And he has a mastermind, and there's 125 people in his mastermind. And I think they pay like $1,000 a month. And he said, I want you guys to see the power of getting on another person's stage, which we consider a podcast a stage. And he had them raise their hands if they had heard him on somebody else's podcast, not his own. I don't even know if he has his own. And like 3/4 of the room raised their hand. And he said, we've surveyed it, and 85 out of 125 of you, maybe 95, I can't remember, 85 or 95 of you out of the 125 of you heard me on somebody else's podcast. So you've got somebody else who has the authority, that spent the time, that spent the money, that spent the energy to build his or her own home base. And now they invite you in. It's such a shortcut. And I actually believe it leverages time, because the amount of time it takes to build the podcast, I could go beyond 40. And I'm not saying it's either or. I think it's both. I believe it's both. But there's this power in that. And so I love that. I love that you say that. Michael, let me ask you a question around right now in this time in our world. So it feels similar to 2012 in the sense that's a really difficult time. I know the difficulties are 2 different types of levels. But what is it that will allow somebody who's listening here to really get the attention, to really stand out, and to really elevate themselves in building their platform? Like, what do you feel is like really important right now in order to do that?
Well, one of the things as you were talking, the first part of that, I was thinking, one of the great things about building a platform is that it will create more certainty for you. So when we're in really uncertain times and you're not sure what the economy is going to do, you're not sure how major media is going to respond, or even podcast media or any of that, when you create a platform strategy based on a solid home base, you create more certainty because you're not kind of subject to the whims of other people giving you their platform. So for example, and I know you've done a different approach to this, but so for the last couple of years during COVID, I didn't go out and speak, but our business didn't suffer. We still made the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing companies. Our business was still growing double digits. In fact, 2020 was the best year, most profitable year we've ever had in our history. But if you go back to the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020, it looked really scary. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And I know you felt the same way because you and I had a conversation about that time right after, the shoe dropped. So, but I think what's important today, and this is my secret to success, I'm sure it's your secret to success. Anybody that is successful and successful for a long period of time, I'm not talking just about a social media phenom or a flash in the pan kind of thing, but anybody that's has enduring success, it's because they serve other people, right? So I think that the formula for success in building a platform is really simple. You've got to identify a market, a certain demographic, and even psychographic. And by psychographic, I mean, you've got to understand what motivates that audience. And specifically, you've got to know what they aspire to, what do they want? And then secondly, what's keeping them from getting what they want? Now, if you know those two things, you can create a viable business that will succeed. Because all you got to do, like Zig Ziglar reminded us eons ago, if you help other people get what they want, you'll get what they want. So it's got to be a servant leadership, servant influence type of perspective. So, and you got to be rigorous about that. And I think one of the best things to do, like if you're just starting out and building a platform and you've done nothing, call 10 people that kind of meet the criteria of the people that you want to serve, and just have a telephone conversation with them or have a Zoom call conversation with them. I know Amy Porterfield recommends that when she talks about building a course. Start by getting that direct input from prospective customers. If you're a little bit larger, if you have a mailing list, we did this for years, an annual survey where we basically want to know the answer to those two questions. What are your biggest aspirations? What do you dream about? What are your goals? Now, what's keeping you from getting those? What's getting in the way? And if you can solve those problems and make it faster, easier, or cheaper for them to solve their problem, to get those obstacles out of the way, you will be successful. And I think that's been the key to our success. And everybody that's, in a similar kind of platform-based business, that's been the key to their success.
Yeah, Michael, I know, and I think my camera might be a little bit delayed here, but can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. I think one of the things that has been big is just the importance of understanding this. What now you've evolved in building your platform. And so what are the things that you focus on today as the founder and as the leader?
Okay, well, first of all, for everybody listening, notice what he did as an interviewer. So I didn't answer his question last time, so he graciously reframed it and let me answer it a different way. So so if you look at our business, I'm going to talk about what I do personally. Are you still there?
I am. I think my camera's having some issues, but I'll let you keep going. There's something wrong with my camera.
So our business today, I would say probably about 40% of it is our business coaching program. That's also the fastest growing part of our business and the most profitable part of our business. Roughly another 40% of it has to do with our Full Focus Planner. You can find out more at fullfocusstore.com, but our Full Focus Planner has become an explosive business. We've sold now 1 million plus copies of the planner. And so that's become a big part of our business, slightly less profitable than coaching for sure. And then the other 20%, is just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that we do, like my courses that continue to sell, speaking events, book sales, that type of thing is probably that other 20%. In terms of how I'm spending my time, and I was talking to you before we got on, Pete, but there's only 4 things that I do. And I think it's really important if you're going to build a platform to figure out what you do well, and then say no to everything else. The key to success is focus. The key to accelerated growth and to scaling is focus. And so that means you've got to say no more than you say yes. So I say yes if the request or the idea or the opportunity falls in one of 4 buckets. First of all, coaching. So, and in my particular case, I coach all of our clients. We have about 600 clients in our Business Accelerator coaching program. And you can find out more at businessaccelerator.com. But I have a Monday call, just did it this morning, with all of our clients that want to get on with me for an hour on Zoom. But then I coach the coaches. We have 18 certified coaches that are affiliated with our company, and I coach the coaches. So I'm out there, trying to make sure that they deliver the best possible client experience for our coaching clients. Then that's the first bucket, coaching. Second bucket is content creation. I'm still involved in content creation, although I don't write or produce everything today. So we've got a team of about 7 people in our content team. Many of those people are writers, but we employ something I call the 10-80-10 principle, which means that I'm involved in the first 10% and the last 10%, but the middle 80%, the research, the content development, case studies, interviews, all that my team does. So content creation. Number 3, content delivery. So I'm still the guy that does give some speeches, that does some live streaming, that, shows up on podcasts, that type of thing, content delivery. And then brand representation. And that's kind of a broad thing, but just wherever I can help in elevating the brand. And that might be, live streaming or webinars to people that are not yet on our mailing list or are new to our mailing list, but I'm still doing some of that brand representation. So those 4 items.
No, I love that, Michael. And I'm hearing everything, and you just keep rolling. Something's wrong with my camera here. It hasn't happened. But Michael, I love that. Those 4 things are important things, but those aren't necessarily the things you did to get started though, right? Like if somebody's starting their platform today in 2021, if Michael Hyatt were starting his platform today, I'm just curious for that person. Michael just gave you a great framework for someone who's built a platform already. But if you were getting started, Michael, where would you focus your time at today? Well,
first thing I would do is I'd set a goal, because a goal, and I'm a huge believer in goal achievement. I wrote the book, Your Best Year Ever, and that's all about goal achievement. And I really think that you've got to set a goal. A goal provides the direction and the vision you need. And like Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind. So what is it you're trying to build? And honestly, this will change. You do not have to get it perfect. Don't worry about getting it perfect. You just got to have a general sense. Are you going to go north? You're going to go south. You're going to go east. You're going to go west. So pick a direction, set a goal, make the goal smarter if you can, specific, measurable, actionable, all the other things that I teach in goal setting, but get yourself a goal. And honestly, when I first started out, my goal was to replace my salary, which I'd had as a CEO at Thomas Nelson, which, was multiple 6 figures. And I thought it was a big deal. And I thought, man, if I could do that, that's really all I need to do. And so I set that as a goal. And because I had the goal, it only took me about a year, but I was doing everything at the beginning. I'm going to tell you what the big mistake I made, but I did everything at the beginning, and everybody has to start as a solopreneur. I get that. But I was too slow to hire an assistant. So it wasn't a good use of my time. And it didn't ultimately contribute to that goal for me to do things like, booking my own travel, managing my own calendar, going through my email inbox. I was spending hours every week doing that. The only problem was that doesn't pay any money. I can't bill anybody for that. That was just time that was kind of backstage time to support my front stage activities. Smartest thing I ever did, and I was too slow, but the smartest thing I ever did was hire an executive assistant 10 hours a week using Belay Solutions, which is a company that we've used literally from that time until today. We still use them. And they provided a way for me to get up and running with a high quality executive assistant who could do that stuff to free me up what only I could do, which was to find the revenue opportunities, to deliver the products, to deliver the services so that my revenue would increase. So I hired that executive assistant. Her name was Trisha. She's, by the way, now the CEO of that company. She just freed me up so much. Just 10 hours a week gave me, I was able to redeploy those same hours in content creation, content delivery, going out and speaking and generating revenue. And so that's when I really began to grow. And that paid for itself, Pete, so fast. So then I almost immediately, like within a couple of weeks, I said, oh my gosh, I've already booked all this revenue and everything. So what I'm going to do now is I want to increase her to 20 hours a week. And then it went to 30 hours a week. And then I hired a full-time assistant. And, we kept using Belay for the overflow. And so I think that, yes, you have to start by doing it all yourself. But as soon as you can hire somebody and begin to incrementally build a team, it's going to be so much easier. If your dream doesn't require a team, you're not thinking big enough.
Yeah, Michael, you're the one that prompted me to, and indirectly through your teachings, prompted me to hire my first executive assistant, something I never thought of. And then I think you did like a comparison of like, what's your time worth? And I'm like, anytime that I get on, do these activities, it's generating thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for the company. So I was like, well, my time's probably worth, $2,000 to $3,000 an hour. And then he asked me to do a follow-up, and it's like, what tasks are you doing? And not that those tasks are demeaning or not important, because they are. Like, if I don't get to my venue, then I'm in trouble. But they're not tasks that I need to be doing. Not only is somebody going to do them better, they're going to be a whole lot more efficient and faster than me doing them too. Totally. And when I did that, it freed me up so much to build my platform and made me rethink. And I've had an executive assistant ever since then, Michael, ever since.
Well, just think of this, just to take your example, and I do this with our Business Accelerator clients. What's your time worth? So let's just say, and by the way, one of the best ways to do that is, what do you hope to earn this year? So not just last year, but what do you hope to use this year or do this year? So let's just say that you had a goal. You're just starting out and your goal is to get to six figures. You want to make $100,000 from your platform. That would mean take that 100,000 divided by 2,000, which is roughly how many hours a year if you take 2 weeks worth of vacation. 2,000, your time is worth $50 an hour. You can hire an executive assistant for $20 an hour. So why would you pay somebody that's not that good, which is you, to do a task and pay them $50 an hour when you can get it done for $20 an hour? If you hire that person for $20 an hour, you have a $30 net gain for that same time that you can, again, redeploy in doing something that only you do that builds the revenue of your business.
I'm like doing math right now again. See, he prompts me to do it. And in other positions, like now it's past the executive assistant. It's like, why am I hiring? And why am I doing this? And why am I doing that? And that's how you build your platform. That's right. I believe one of the greatest ways to build your platform is not to do it alone. I think it takes a team. I think it takes strategic partners. Like Michael and I have been partners in a lot of endeavors where he is a gift to me in his genius. And I hope we're the same back to him. And
absolutely.
And so it's incredible. Michael, last two questions that are important. And okay. The last one really has to do with what you're coming out with here in the near future. But I'm just curious, we're going behind the scenes next week of a lot of people's platforms to hear what they've done to really build their platforms, because I have a desire to help 1 million entrepreneurs build their platforms. That's our new big, hairy, audacious.
Love that.
It used to be, hey, we want to be on 1 million stages. It's now shifted. We want to help 1 million entrepreneurs build their platforms to the place that they want to build them. Michael, what was it? Like, if for our audience that doesn't know, we got the opportunity to buy Platform University last November. We're coming upon our year anniversary of it, from Michael Hyatt and company. Michael, what was it that had you choose us? Because at the end of the day, you and Megan and your core team there made that decision, and there were several people that wanted it, but you made a decision to choose us. What was it that had you choose us, Michael?
Well, I would say first and foremost, we consider whether it's employees, courses, books, all of that. We're merely stewards. Everything in our life we think is temporary. You have stewardship over it for a period of time, and then you're going to give it up to somebody else who's going to take that stewardship forward. And so my philosophy is I always want to leave whatever asset I have in better shape than when I found it. And I always want to turn it over to somebody that I think can take it to the next level, right? So somebody that has, first and foremost, a vision. You guys had a vision, and you had the best vision, the most concrete vision for what you wanted to do with Platform University. So that immediately attracted it to me. Plus, you've been enormously positive stewards of our relationship, right? So, the other people that were bidding on it that wanted Platform University, lovely people, I'm sure, but I just didn't have any experience with them, right? You and I had worked together, and I knew what I was getting in the partnership, and I trusted that relationship. I knew you would be good stewards of this baby that we had built, and I wanted to turn the baby over to people that loved the baby as much as I did and would raise it as its own.
Yeah, I love that, Michael. And everybody, I want you to know next week, as we dive into this, and I know there's thousands of you watching this week, but next week, as we dive into this, that vision that Michael said, the vision we had for it, like it's already rolled out in a soft way, like kind of soft way and more of a piloting way. Next week begins the big vision of it, because if you can go behind the scenes of people who are building their platforms and see their unique genius, they're not going to be sharing dozens of things with you. They're going to be sharing the thing that has really been the biggest needle mover for them. Next week, that vision kicks off. Michael, next week, the vision kicks off around strategy and tactics and the 6 pillars of building a platform. But what I think is so important, I think that you do as good as anybody that I know. And you don't just talk about it from the main stage, it's who you are behind the curtain too, is no great platform will ever be built well if we don't put our oxygen masks on first, if we don't take care of ourselves. It's not always about the strategies and tactics. It's about us taking care of ourselves, our mind, our bodies, our relationships. What would you say to people around taking care of themselves? Because I believe you are one of the best in the world at it. They choose to make that decision to build their platforms.
Well, I have to confess, I wasn't always good at it. So I didn't practice appropriate self-care. I was running and gunning 70, 80 hours a week, almost blew up my marriage. I've been married for 43 years. My wife and I have a great relationship. We have 5 grown daughters. We have 9 grandkids and another one on the way. But that almost lost all that 20 years ago, just because I wasn't taking care of myself. And I think it's critically important to do that. And again, I think you have to see yourself as a steward. If you want to serve other people well, and if you want to do it over a long period of time, you got to take time to refuel. And that's really how I think about self-care. It's an opportunity for you to refuel and make sure, that the tires have tread on them, that the wheels are in alignment, that the engine's got the oil that it needs. Why? Not for self-indulgence, but for serving other people. That's the whole purpose of self-care.
Yeah, and I think that you do that so amazing. Michael, as your final thoughts as they get to go behind the scenes. You're the first one that they get to go behind the scenes of your platform and what you've built over the last 2 to 3 decades. But what your biggest piece of wisdom that you would give to them as next week they get to go behind the scenes of some incredible people and make a commitment to building their platforms, what would you leave everybody with today?
Well, I would say this, Pete. I would say that for most people, there's a gap between where they're at and where they want to be. And that's because most people that start out building a platform have a vision, right? So there's a gap. And I'm telling you, there's a gap at my level, and there's a gap if you're just starting out. So you're kind of in that tension between the now and the not yet. The thing I would say is that don't despise the days of small beginnings. That's actually a Bible verse, but don't despise the day of small beginnings, because you will be able to do more than you can imagine if you just stay with it. Tenacity, perseverance are way underrated. I can remember back when I started this company, Pete, I said to one of my best friends, I said, man, the holy grail for me is if I can generate $100,000 a month. And that seems so far away, seemed like it was impossible. And I had the first $100,000 month, and I called my friend and I said, "You never believe it, we got $100,000. This last month we did in revenue," and we high-fived each other. And I thought, well, I don't know if I can do it again. And then it began, okay, what if I could do that every month? And then I could remember getting to the place where we were doing several $100,000 a month. And I thought, oh, if we could do $1 million a month, that would be amazing. Make us an 8-figure company, right? And then I thought, oh, if we could do 2 million and 4 million and 5 million. We've had months like that now. And so it's just like you got to stay focused on the next mountain in the range, all the while realizing that once you crest that mountain, you're going to discover that there's an entire mountain range that you couldn't see from your first vantage point. So all you got to do is be faithful in the small things. Just keep working day after day, work smart, have a strategy, all that. But tenacity and perseverance, if you will stay in the game and stay at it and do what Pete's telling you to do, you will be successful.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to have the very first person that we bring into the platform tour. And it doesn't matter what technical challenges I had today, there couldn't have been a better person to kick this off in platform tour, because the reason we're even doing this is because of the vision that I saw when Michael said we're selling Platform University and all of the stuff around Platform University, and we are entrusting it to you, Pete. That vision was kicked off last November, and now next week, you guys get to be a part of something very special, starting today with Michael Hyatt, but continuing on all next week. And so grateful for your time, Michael. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Pete. Always appreciate it.
Hey guys, I want to bring this full circle. I know there's lots of people watching on different channels today. Michael said the reason why we sold you Platform University and just the domain of all things platform from our company is because of the vision you had behind it. Can I tell you the vision I shared with him? And actually, one of our speakers who's here with us next week was another person who put an offer in for it. And him and I went back and forth, and he's like, "I'm so grateful that you got it. It's in great hands." I said, "Michael, we need more powerful platforms in our world speaking positive messages that are changing people's lives. We need people who actually care about people, that want to help people with the problems that they're facing in their life, and that will bring a positivity, not a negativity, not a dissension, not a divisiveness, like none of that. We need more positive messages. And the only way we're going to do that is if we help people build platforms." And Michael, over the course of the last 20 years, I have been used to help people build some of the biggest platforms out in the world that are making a difference in the lives of folks in the nonprofit realm, the solopreneur realm, the entrepreneurial realm, the corporate realm, coaches, thought leaders, influencers, you name it, we've helped them. And if you named them, you'd be like, wow, we've probably spoken into them. And now next week is the launching of us helping the masses understand the 6 core pillars that they have got to be focused on in order to make this year the greatest year that you have ever had. And instead of hogging the mic, instead of being the one that hogs the mic next week, I think I speak 2 or 3 times, because I have 40 powerful speakers that are going to be in here that would cost millions of dollars to share what they're going to share. And you get the opportunity to be a part of that. So if you are not registered, go to theplatformtour.com and register. If you are registered and you haven't signed up for VIP, why would you not want to be backstage with so many of these speakers and get lifetime access recordings to this historic lineup? Make sure you go to Platform Tour VIP. Platform Tour VIP. And for everybody out there that's watching, would you tag a friend? Would you share this with somebody? Would you make sure that the people you know have powerful messages that have something to bring a solution into our world that so desperately needs more solutions and less problems? Would you go tag them? Would you go post on your social? Would you let people know? Take that step, and I'm telling you, the reciprocity that will come back on you for that is big. It's big. So tomorrow, I'm going to be back here with a lady who is quite profound to me. You're not going to recognize her name, or some of you might, But I'm excited to be with Rebecca tomorrow. And Rebecca was on the journey of starting to build her platform 1 year ago. No list, no funnels, no sales, no products, no emails. And her and I are going to break down what she was able to do to go from 0 to 7 figures. And as important, helping thousands and thousands of customers in the process get results that they were looking for in their lives. So we're going to be back tomorrow. This whole week is all pre-training. It's Friday. I've got some comedy around the topic of money. You're going to love Friday. You are absolutely going to love Friday. We'll be here on Saturday and Sunday, but the official tour kicks off Monday, 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time every single day. Mark your calendars. Drop a note down below and let me know what you took away from today. We love you guys. We will see you tomorrow.